Hey yo, what is groovy, what is good? It's your boy Papa Capes and we're back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're going to be talking clan boss, more specifically Demon Lord. Obviously I mentioned in yesterday's first video who my OG champs were on my account, but today I have an experiment that I'll be doing. I have two Demon Lord keys lined up, and I'm going to be attacking Demon Lord first with my OG team. Then I'll be attacking Demon Lord with a potential team, a team filled with potential and a team that technically in theory should be better than my OG team. However, the one time I've tested it before, I wasn't recording, there was a 13 million damage difference between the OG team and the team that should in theory, on paper, be better. So I'm going to try and figure this out today, and hopefully you guys can help me decide who I should be investing in, where the mistakes are lying, where am I losing damage? Is it sustainability? Is it longevity? Is it defense? I don't even know what the mechanics are per se on Demon Lord. So I'm just going to be going in technically blindfolded, and I'm going to be learning. I'm going to be going through my character builds, my champion builds. I'm going to go through them quite in depth, every single piece of gear, how they build, the relics, the ascensions, the enchantments, the glyphs that I've used, and we're going to be able to have all the information at the end of the video to do a comparison and to actually diligently make a decision as to which team I should invest in. And after the video, I just like to be in a place where I know who my clan boss team is currently, with the champion roster I find myself with and the resources at my disposal, so that I can do the most amount of damage possible in Demon Lord clan boss. Okay, cool. So we are going to run through each and every champion that forms part of the OG team. I'm going to call the first team the OG team and the second team the potential team, because in my experience so far, I've tested it once and I didn't take note of the affinities of the boss. There's a lot that I didn't take note of to come to an accurate conclusion as to where the damage difference comes from. So let's start off this team introduction with Supreme Galek, who I do put in as the leader for his attack aura, and let's go through his set. He's got Fatal, Perception, Righteous, Stone Skin, and Pinpoint. So in total he's got almost 51k HP. We're sitting at 3,400 attack, just over 2k defense, 189 speed, 124% crit rate, which isn't crit rate capped at 100%? That's kind of silly. Crit damage is at 144%, resistance 180, accuracy 163. The relic he's got on is the Wand of Submission. I think this was like a community thing, and that's how I got this relic. We had to vote for a relic, or I can't really remember, but when I started the game, this was the relic that, I think it was like a community gift or something like that. We've got it to +9, additional HP and additional speed. On his skills, he is fully booked except for his A3. Actually, I'm going to read through his skills because I know what they do, but I've never done this. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits for me as an individual doing this journey and documenting this journey, is that I'm going to be learning as well. So Galek's A1, fully booked, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has an extra 10% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Each hit also has a 40% chance of increasing the duration of any HP burn debuffs on the target by 1 turn. His A2, Bloodshed Tempest, 3-turn cooldown. It attacks 4 enemies at random, places a 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 3 turns before attacking. Each hit has an extra 10% of inflicting a crit hit. Each hit also has a 75% chance of instantly activating any HP burn debuffs on each target and decreasing the duration of those HP burns debuffs by 1 turn. Fills this champion's turn meter by 30% if 3 or more HP burn debuffs are active during the attack. Because it's fully booked, I don't know if this is, do I take this value and then -1, or does this value automatically update when booked? As this might come across as stupid questions to a lot of you, but I just play the game really, and this is the first time that I'm going to be deep diving through it all. His A3, which is the only one that's not fully booked, 4-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies, has an extra 10% chance of inflicting a crit hit, has a 75% chance of placing HP burn and block buff debuff for 2 turns, also places a 30% decreased speed debuff on those on targets whose turn meter is higher than 50%. And then the blessing that we went with is Cruelty. Secondly in my team will be Rector. She is fully booked throughout. She's in Perception, Righteous, Pinpoint, and Stone Skin. Her A1, Scepter of Authority, attacks one enemy, has a 35% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns, fully booked. Necro Mutation heals all allies by 20% of the champion's max HP. After healing, places a perfect veil buff for 2 turns on all allies with full HP. Places a 15% continuous heal buff for 1 turn instead on all allies with less than 100 HP. Revives a single ally with 60% HP and fills their turn meter by 60%. Also then places a perfect veil buff on them for 3 turns. I've noticed that. And then her passive, whenever an ally under a veil or perfect veil buff gets a turn, heals them by 10% of their max HP. Also increases the resistance of all allies under veil or perfect veil buffs by 50. And she's got survival instinct on. Her total stats: 70k HP, 2k attack, 3k defense, 177 speed, 32% crit, which I don't think is important on Rector, 92% crit damage, 256 resistance, 184 accuracy. Ignore defense. Is that a stat? That's crazy. Then the other OG in the team will be Uugo. She is, again, one of my favorite. She's got Perception, Relentless, Pinpoint, and Stone Skin, and her stats look as follows: 46k HP, 1.6k attack, 3.6k defense, 143 speed. I usually, when I build my champs, want to get them to a minimum of 160 speed. I have no idea where I heard that, but I think I saw it on a YouTube video. 108% crit, 133 crit damage, or crit rate, 108%, crit damage, 133%. Resistance at 224. Accuracy at 184. The next one would be Kael as part of my OG team. Yes, I recently made a change to Kael. I don't know why. I feel like in some content my Kael might be weaker. He definitely jumped in power, but he feels weaker. His stats are as follows: 30k HP, 3.3k attack, 2.1k defense, 218 speed, 100% crit rate. Finally, a smart build. No wasted crit rate. 107% crit damage, which could be low. I think that's low. Resistance 141, accuracy 208. And then he is in Lifesteal, Righteous, and Pinpoint. So then we got Fatman in here as well. He's in an accuracy set, Righteous, Speed, Pinpoint, and Stone Skin. His stats are as follows: 40k HP, 3.7k damage, or attack, 3.7k attack, 2.3k defense, 233 speed. So he's fast, well, at least for my team and where I'm at in the game. 49% crit rate. Ooh. Okay, that's bad. That's really bad. 93% crit damage, 214 resistance, and 242 accuracy. That's the team that I find myself using and that I have been using in Demon Lord. So let's run it real quick. I don't know if I showed all the masteries. Supreme Galek, masteries all the way down. I don't even know what this is called. With Helm Smasher. Now, I don't know why, but I think War Master might be better. So War Master has a 60% chance of inflicting bonus damage when attacking. Bonus damage is equal to 10% of the target champion's max HP or 4% of the target's max HP when attacking bosses. Max damage can only occur once per skill and does not count as an extra hit. What do I have? Has a 50% chance of ignoring 25% of the target's defense. For skills that ignore defense, this 25% is an addition to the amount ignored to the skill. So that stacks is what they're saying, I'm guessing. I think I got all of my mastery builds, every single one of them from the Hell Hades website. Rector, masteries, she's not full on masteries as yet. So that's definitely something I have to farm. On to Uugo. A1 attacks one enemy, has a 30% chance of placing Leech debuff for 2 turns. The chance increases by 5% for each alive enemy. A2 attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Also has a 50% chance of placing a block buff debuff for 2 turns. The chance of placing the block buff's debuff increases by 5% for each alive enemy. And then on A3, this removes all heal reduction debuffs from all allies, then removes 1 random debuff from all allies, then heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP. If all allies are dead, revives them with 50% HP, then fills their turn meters by 50%. That's the skill that saved me so much in Arena and Live Arena. We've also got Uugo with the Cruelty Blessing. This is something I've tried to research and tried to understand, but they say you should only have 1 Cruelty Blessing in your team. I don't know enough about this to make it educated or to have an educated opinion on it, so I do need to look into this more. I've chosen to still go with Cruelty. Galek's the other player or the other champion with Cruelty. Uugo's masteries are also not yet completed. What? I honestly thought Rector and Uugo, I genuinely thought they were finished with their masteries. It's crazy. We've gone through his kit, no relic. He is lacking 2 books on his A2, or 1 book on his A2, 1 book on his A3. His A1 attacks 1 enemy, has a 40% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. And then 1 more book on his A2 attacks 1 enemy, has a 75% chance of placing an HP burn debuff and 5% poison debuffs for 2 turns. I didn't know it came from the same attack. I knew that he had poison damage, and I knew that he could apply burns. I didn't know they came from the same attack. How ignorant am I? His A3 places a 30% increased crit rate buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on all allies except himself for 3 turns. Then all allies except himself will attack one target. So that's his ally attack. And then his passive body block deflects 20% of all incoming damage this champion receives onto all allies. This damage will be spread equally across all allies. And the blessing that I've got on him is Phantom Touch. And last but not least, Kael from the OG team. That's his kid. He's got the Golden Elixir Relic on. He's fully booked. His I1 attacks one enemy, has an 80% chance of placing a 2.5% poison debuff for 2 turns. This is his A2, Acid Rain. Attacks all enemies, has an extra 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Fill the 10 meter of this champion by 25% for each enemy killed. His A3 attacks 4 times at random, has a 40% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. Got Phantom Touch as well. That is the team. I do apologize. I know that so many of you probably know so much more than I do, but when I decided that this would be the video that I'm going to record, I figured to myself, won't it be boring to read the information that everybody already knows? But one thing I learned in my journey, don't make assumptions. And it benefits me because I've never read these things by myself, ever. So I'm learning more and more and more about Raid and about my champs. So this is a positive, it's a positive thing. Cool. So let's jump straight into Demon Lord. First attack, Demon Lord, my OG team, filled with the 2 nukers that have carried me through campaign, that have carried me through dungeons. This is literally the team that I probably use for 70% of the content in the game this far. Let's go. No! I wasn't supposed to have auto battle on. I actually wanted to go through the fight. Tell you what, I'm just gonna buy another key with gems. I think it's like 100 gems, right? So let's do the exact key. I've got 150 gems and I think a key is worth 100 gems. So I'll just buy a key. Let's go. Quick battle is off. Let's run it with the same team. Do I run it on 1 times or 2 times? I'm gonna keep it on 2 for now, but for future videos, please let me know what you prefer. Is 2 times fine, or would you prefer it in 1 times? And it will be on auto. And Kael's dead. Okay, so Kael dies on boss count turn 20. And he's back up. That's the first death so far in this clan boss fight against Demon Lord. Kael's dead again. 3 turns later from the boss. And Uugo. Uugo back up because of the Rector. Guess we have to wait for the next rotation on Rector's skills to get Kael up again, because Uugo only heals if all allies besides herself are dead. But I think Rector should prioritize getting Galek back up here with the next res. Hopefully that's the case. Galek back up. That's what I'm talking about. This is really bad damage. What? There's so much about this game that confuses me. There is honestly so much about this game that still confuses me. Elements, mechanics that I don't understand, and yeah, it's crazy. 17.89 million damage is crazy. Very bad. Okay, so now we will be making changes to the team. So these changes include taking Galek out, replacing Galek with Geomancer, taking Kael out, replacing Kael with Venomage. Let's check these 2 champs out. We find Geomancer in a Righteous set, Pinpoint and Perception. His total stats are 48k HP, 2.7k attack, 2.2k defense, 164 speed, 108 crit rate, 126% crit damage, 208 resistance, 185 accuracy. When I build champions personally, I usually focus on getting their speed to 160 and prioritizing getting their crit rate to 100%. However, correct me if I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments down below. If you were building a Geomancer, would you completely ignore his crit rate and focus on his longevity within the fights? This is something that my homie actually suggested to me. Like, he's like, don't focus on crit rate at all. Prioritize resistance, accuracy, and just make him last longer. So please let me know what you feel about that. And Relic, he's got an Orb of Transfixion plus 6 additional HP. So on his skills, I've only used 3 books in total. I do have a bunch of epic books, but I'm saving them for CVC. They're just really good points in CVC. And if I'm not mistaken, the CVC, the upcoming CVC, should be a personal reward CVC. What I've learned is that it's 1 on, 1 off, 1 on, 1 off. And the most recent CVC that just passed, there were no personal rewards. So the next one that should be in like 5 or 6 days should include personal rewards. I could be so wrong. So he's a 1, attacks all enemies, has a 30% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. His A2 currently removes all buff from a target enemy, then attacks them, steals all buffs instead if the target is under HP burn. Debuff placed by this champion reduces the cooldown of Quicksand Grasp by 2 turns if the target is killed by this skill, while under a HP burn debuff placed by this champion. What is Quicksand Grasp? Is A3. Quicksand Grasp fully depletes the target's turn meter, fills this champion's turn meter by the amount the target loses. Has a 75% chance of placing HP burn and a 25% weaken debuff on the target for 3 turns. He's also in Cruelty and will probably make him lead in the next battle for his HP aura. So, like I said, I do have, I think, 6 or 7 epic books that I will possibly be finishing Fatman's books, and then the remaining balance of books I'll be putting into Geomancer. The other substitute will be Venomage. Venomage? Venomage. I just kind of slapped on any gear that I'm familiar with, which, as you've seen, is Perception and Righteous. I do not yet have an amulet. I need to get like a cool amulet with accuracy, perhaps. That'll be phenomenal. Or crit damage. I think that'll be really cool. She's the very low power. She's still 5-star as well. Again, I will be 6-starring her. I've got food in the champion vault currently to 6-star her. So again, just waiting for CVC and then she will be 6-starred. Do you think that's a mistake? Do you think that's something I should be prioritizing? Please let me know. I'm going to ask you guys to let me know quite a lot. I'm so excited about learning from you guys. Like, if I knew a lot about something, I enjoy teaching. So maybe there's some of you out there who know a lot about Raid and also enjoy teaching. Please, please, please let me know. She has no current relic equipped. Obviously, not a single book has been put into her attacks, but I've never, ever checked her skills. So let's check her kit out. Toxicity. Attacks one enemy twice. Destroys the target's max HP by 75% of the damage inflicted if they are under a heal reduction debuff. Each hit has a 35% chance of activating up to 2 poison debuffs on the target. Her A2, Neurotoxin. Attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff on for 2 turns. Also has a 75% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns if the target is under a poison debuff. And that's any poison, not necessarily the poison that she's inflicted. Her A3 is Flesh Melter, attacks all enemies, has a 75% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction debuff for 3 turns. Also has a 75% chance of placing 2 5% poison debuffs for 2 turns. Her aura, accuracy in all battles, which I don't think we'll be using, and a passive, enemies under heal reduction debuffs inflict 15% less damage. This will be the potential team that, after doing some research and asking a few people, in theory, on paper, this team should be the team I prioritize currently for Demon Lord. Let's see how they do. Affinity has changed. So let's keep that in mind. Affinity was Void, now it's on Force. So the affinity has changed. RIP. We will be replacing Galek with Geomancer and replacing Kael with Venomage. Quick Battle is off. Another thing I was advised to do is turn off Fatman's A2. I'm assuming why that is the case is because his A2 inflicts burns, and maybe we want Geomancer to be the only person or the only champion putting burns on or dealing the burns or burning. I don't know. I'm unsure exactly. Maybe if burns stack, they do less damage, which doesn't make sense because if burns stack in any other game that I've played, they do more damage. Again, not in this genre, but just in general, if I'm thinking about it. Anything that stacks should be better. I don't know why. Again, the person who advised me on doing this is way more knowledgeable than I am, miles apart. So I'm going to be heeding this advice. So yeah, tell me what you think about me turning off Fatman's A2, and if my theory is correct in that it's to mitigate stacking of burns. It just doesn't make sense. Okay, cool. We've selected that team from the OG team. This is now the new potential dream team for the champion roster that I find myself with. One thing that I'd like to note is that I understand that I do need an ally protect champion. I do not have one currently in my roster, so I will be on the lookout for an ally protector. And I think once we get an ally protector, Fatman would be who we then replace for the ally protector. Let's see what happens. Off the bat, I feel like this team is doing way less damage. Venomage's snake attack looks really cool. Looks really, really cool. Oh, Raid's art style is so sick, man. So sick. Damage output is so much less. So much less. It's not looking good. Definitely not looking good. And this pancake is done. 8.12 million damage dealt. Geomancer 3.3 mil damage. Fatman almost 3 mil damage. Rector with 1.4 mil on the heels. So this is kind of crazy, and this is the part that confuses me the most. Is it purely because Venomage is still a 5-star? Like, I know for a fact, I actually wish one thing Demon Lord had is not only the ability to see your last attack or your last key, but the ability to go back to like your last 10 keys, so that when building teams, you don't have to have a notepad next to you or take screenshots of damage or stuff like that. It's literally a mechanic built into the game where you could go back the last 10 keys in Demon Lord on said difficulty to have a point of reference so that you can build your teams accordingly. It just confuses me so much, man. The question I have for you is, what would you do with these champs? These specific champs that I have at my disposal. What would you do with these champs if they were at your disposal to build the best Demon Lord team for hard difficulty in where I'm at currently? With the gear, with the champs, who would you prioritize? Would it purely be replacing Venomage with Galek, Supreme Galek, and turning Fatman's A2 back on? Or would you prioritize 6-starring Venomage, getting an ally protector, which you can't really prioritize because it's RNG with shards and whatnot? How would you approach this is my question. Please let me know down in the comments below. That's going to be my raid bible of the comments on these videos, where I'll go to and learn and consume all the informative tips, pointers, critiques. Anything that I find there is going to become my raid bible so that I can improve. Also, I'm curious to find out where you guys are at. If you're currently around the same place as I am, but 110 days in, what champions do you use for your clan boss fights? Specifically, Demon Lord. Are you on Brutal already? If so, please teach me. Happiness is a choice. Kindness is free. Leave your mark, yo. Peace out.